Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday, your daily stop for virtual reality content. My name is Dee, and if you have not seen this application before, this is Virtual Desktop, a very handy app that allows you to use regular desktop applications from inside your Oculus Rift Development Kit 2. I'm using it today because I am going to mozvr.com for Mozilla VR. This is the fledgling VR support in Mozilla Firefox that they are working on currently. And as you can see, I visited this website and it's tracking my head as I move it left and right. And I can click on these glasses here to enter VR. So let's just see what happens. Now I'm inside the scene, and I'm totally surrounded by it on every side. And keep in mind, I didn't have to download or install anything to do this. All I did was go to a website and click on an icon, and now I am inside a VR scene. And just it's taking me on a little tour over this lake. I'll show you this one more later. And now I'm going to hit escape when I'm done, and the screen will go black, and then I'm just going to click my mouse. And then I'm back in Virtual Desktop. So this is the basics of how it works. I'm going to show you all the setup you need to do this, and we're going to go through 6 demos that are currently published on the MozVR site. So let me scroll down. Here they are. There are Monkeys, In Spirit, Rainbow Membrane. This one's going to use the Leap Motion, which is why I have a Leap Motion attached to my Rift. Seychelles, Panorama Viewer, and the Polar Sea. This is a 360 photo. This is a 360 video. So, and there's a couple blog entries here, a bunch of press, a bunch of things like this. And I'm just going to give you an impression of what VR on the web is like today. So first of all, I'm using VR Desktop, like I said. This is purely optional. You can start the experience on your regular monitor and then put your Rift on and experience it. I like to do it inside Virtual Desktop so I can smoothly move between one experience and another without ever having to remove my Rift. Also because it's just more awesome. Virtual Desktop's available from vrdesktop.net. You can do lots of cool things in it. Watch 360 videos, watch side-by-side 3D videos, lots of cool things like that. And it's one of the best applications for the Rift. I've actually looked at it in detail before. It's very much recommended. Next, Mozilla VR. How do you install? So I did not just like download Firefox and install it, and this worked. This is not in the official Firefox yet. In order to get this working, you have to go to mozvr.com, which is where I am right now. Go to the Downloads tab. There is your cool Fox with an HMD, very Rift-like. It says, getting started. In order to experience WebVR, you'll need the following. First, Firefox Nightly. What is Firefox Nightly? Firefox Nightly is the secret version of Firefox that is for testing only. It's kind of the bleeding edge version from the open source repository with all the latest features and fixes. It's also highly unstable. So don't get this unless you're doing like VR stuff, or you want to help them out with testing and reporting bugs, things like that. And I believe I got the Windows 64-bit standard version. There's also a 32-bit version, a Mac version, a Linux version. I believe any of these will work just as well. It's in all of them. And once you've got that, you need to launch it. So you can see I'm actually running Mozilla Nightly right now, Firefox Nightly. And because it has that icon that looks like a nighttime globe. And once you do that, come back here and click on WebVR Enabler Add-on. By the way, before you do any of this, you do need to install the very latest version of the Oculus runtime. I'm going to go ahead and head over to Oculus to show you. So you go to Developer, you go to Downloads. Under Downloads, under SDK PC, you will see Oculus Runtime for Windows. You will see version 0.5.0.1 beta. That's the version that you currently need to work with this version of Mozilla VR. I've tried it with the previous version, 0.4.4. It doesn't work, so don't use it. And you agree to the EULA. I read all of that. And there you go. And you save it and you install it. You will need to reboot your computer after installing the Oculus runtime. I've already done all this, so I'm just going to cancel that. And then, once you've done that and you're running Mozilla Nightly, just click on WebVR Enabler Add-on. then click Allow. This will only take a second. Click Install. It'll ask you to restart. It's not talking about your computer. It's talking about Firefox. So just click OK. And it's back. And you're done. So now I'm going to go back to MozillaVR.com, mozvr.com. Here I am. And you should see this. You should see a scene where if you move your Rift, it will actually change the viewpoint in the scene. And it should be running in the background like this. So if it's working, that's what you're going to see. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into the projects. So the first one, monkeys. So it'll show the projects on your screen in stereoscopy if it is working correctly, and your headset will move the perspective. If you scroll down below them, it'll tell you a little bit about them, the tools they use to build it, which is useful if you're a developer and you want to know how to build this kind of WebVR experience. Often a link to the source if it's an open source demo, and the people who made it. I believe this is all their Twitter links in this case. And a little explanation. The web at its best is wild, weird, and creative. Monkeys by V. Hart of EllaVR is a surreal example of that ethos, placing us inside a seamless sequence of colorful primates. The result is whimsical and strange, but also an interesting exploration of the use of space in virtual reality. There are no flat planes here. And there's a nice screenshot. It says the math behind the piece is quite involved, which is true. It's actually, you'll see what I'm talking about when we get in there in a second. It's actually a really, really weird demo. So I'm going to click on the glasses to get inside. Let's go. So we are inside the monkeys, surrounded by monkeys, monkeys moving around us. Monkeys having their hands on the heads of other monkeys, having their feet on the heads of other monkeys. And the really weird part is if you follow, just watch that guy's head. Watch it as it goes up. Positional tracking does not work in this demo, by the way. So you can see the head's getting bigger, it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger, and it's spreading out, and it's become huge, and it's become the ceiling. And now it's circling around, and it's becoming the floor. And after it becomes the floor, it turns back into a head, and it starts coming up again. So that's what this demo is all about. It's like the monkeys go past us, then the monkeys become the room, and then the room becomes the monkeys. And it's all really, really freaky and psychedelic, and it's a very, very cool demo. And you could read more about it on the demo page, but it's a great place to get started. There's very little judder when I move my head around. However, the latency is unusually high for a VR demo compared to a desktop demo. To me, this feels like maybe 40 milliseconds, maybe more. It's more like DK1 type latency than DK2. And additionally, this particular demo has no positional tracking. So when I lean like this, the monkeys move with me, and they should not. They should be fixed in space. So that's just a limitation of the demo. We're going to see some later that actually have positional tracking. Anyway, let's get out of monkey land, hit escape, click my mouse, and we're back in virtual desktop. And I'm going to hit back, and now I'm going to go to InSpirit. This is actually a cool little game. And there is this one's hosted on an external site. It's created by Unboring, which is Arturo Paracuelos' project. And there's a very long and detailed case study that goes into all the details of, right here at the bottom. It says an Unboring 3D experience case study. And if you click on case study, you'll see that it goes into excruciating detail about the idea and the concept and development notes and how they tried to make it so you could run it on a variety of platforms, cardboard, on an iPad, on a PC, and the various challenges they faced, and how kind of some of the things they learned about VR development in the process. This is really, really cool, and I would love to see more developers doing this kind of in-depth case study that really helps to get other VR developers up to speed on important things for them that they learned during their own development process. Anyway, that's the case study. Definitely check this out if you are into VR dev. It is pretty interesting. But first, let's actually see the game and play the game. Gonna double click it. Is that working? Oh, I just had to click on my browser. Here we are. So the latency again is not great. I feel like it's about 40, 50 milliseconds. It's definitely playable, more like DK1. So you can see we're in this gray world with this really dark shaded guy right in front of us with a box head, kind of Minecraft-ish. And wherever we look, it makes a little pool of light. And after a couple seconds, the guy will run to the place we said. It has a full positional audio, so if I look over this way, and then I hear him behind me, I hear him moving to my right, I hear him moving in front of me, and here he is. And now I hear him right in front of me. So the positional audio works great for this particular app, where you have this very clear circle of game stuff going on around you. What we're interested in right now is that little cube. And I can hear him running around me, Go get the cube, guy. Go get the cube. I don't actually know if this is a guy. Might be a girl. Hard to tell. Might be neither. Might just be some kind of alien box person. Alright. Let's see. So now I need to pick one of these shapes. How about that shape right there? Put the green in. Put the green in. Okay. Did it work? Nope. It didn't like that. Okay. What about this one? Put the green in. Put the green in. Okay, that did something. The green is staying in this time. Notice how the green has come out and it's kind of lighting up the whole area. And the mountains in the distance, which were kind of dark gray before, have gone a slightly lighter gray now. And now I'm going to go get the blue. Grab that blue. This game's really good at making it very clear what to do without having to explain anything. Where do I put the blue? How about over here? There are no controls in this game other than your head, as far as I know. No, it didn't like that. Okay, let's put the blue over here. Put it in. Yay! It worked! And our world has blue in it now. And the sky's looking a little more blue. So we've got green, we've got blue. What's next? Red. Go get the red. There he goes. Okay. Where do we take the red? How about right here? Put it in. Oh, I didn't like that. Well, look, look, look. There are lights coming up. Little red and green lights coming up over the hills. Okay. I need to take this somewhere. How about over to this triangle? Come on, guy. Put it in. Okay, that was wrong. Where else? How about over here? I can hear him running behind me. Coming around. Keep in mind, this is all running in my web browser. Nothing needed to be installed. I have positional sound. Oh, it's not that one either. Okay, it's gotta be that big shape right behind me. Go get it. Put it in. Put in the red. It's always the last one I try. There we go. Now our world has red in it. Oh, and look, and there's more colored things coming up. Green things and blue things. Rising up. Oh, and that thing's making some loud beeping sounds. It must be powerful. Grab it. Okay, where do I take it? How about right here? Notice how when he walks short distances, he walks slowly. So, right there. And when he walks far distances much faster. And once you've indicated the destination, you can actually look around while it's going there. Come on. Where does it go? Where does it go back there? Go back there. Go put it in. There we go. And the mountains are dancing! I made the mountains dance. That must have been powerful to make the mountains dance. Okay. Oh, I hear it. Where is it? It's right there. So that one of the great uses of positional sound in this is if you don't see the thing you're supposed to pick up right away, the sound calls it out to you and draws your attention. And that's really important for VR games, the use of positional sound to draw your attention to a certain place in the scene. Because, you know, in a traditional game, you can just control the camera and point it right at the thing you're supposed to look at. But in VR, you really are not allowed to mess with the camera. You have to give the player full control over the camera. And the mountains are green! And they're changing color. And they're dancing. And the music is changing. This is cool. Oh, and they're changing color and they're like doing the little palette swap dance. Okay, okay. Go over there, go grab it. And the music is just subtly getting more layered and more interesting as we're adding colors. Does it go in here? It does! There we go. Oh yeah. Now it's getting a bit mistier. There's like some lightning going on. Whoa, whoa, hey, hey, hey. No, what? And he's inside me. Okay. And off he goes. Into the sky. Bye-bye, Cubehead. And the color has changed. And our friend is gone. And I believe that is the end of the demo. Still floating away into the mist. So you could see as he approached us, we actually do have positional tracking and full stereoscopy in this demo. It's a bit hard to tell most of the time because most of the time nothing gets quite close enough for you to be able to tell, but it's definitely there. You can also tell kind of looking down at your feet and leaning your head one way or the other. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here, hit escape, click, and I'm back. So this was In Spirit, or In Spirit. I don't know how you say that. And you can read more about how it was made here and all the gory details. And here's some more description of it here on the MozVR page, although I think the case study is much more detailed. All right, next, Rainbow Membrane. This is not a full game. This is another simple experience, but it's a very unique one. You'll see what I mean. Rainbow Membrane. This one is also hosted on a different website. This one's hosted over at kebby.bo. Okay. I'm just going to double click on it. And then click on... Is this working? Okay, there we go. Okay, I made it work. Sometimes you just have, if you're doing it in virtual desktop, you just got to double click it and then click on the Firefox icon and kind of keep doing that until it works. Anyway, so we're in a box. What are we doing in a box? We're in a box with a face. Hello, face. And I have hands. This is why I have a leap motion on. My hands are being tracked relative to the headset. So as long as my hands are right in front of my face, the leap motion will be able to track them. This demo has these cool materials. They remind me of paint. They're like very viscous fluids, but they're also almost kind of like a foil. I don't know how to describe it, but it's actually really cool. I want to play with this stuff all day. And I can bury my hand inside the wall, bring it back out. Can do the same with the floor. If I just almost touch it, it kind of draws it out, but not quite touches it. Can do the same thing with the ceiling. As long as my hands are in my field of view, they will be tracked correctly. I can attract both of them in the corner at the same time. And then we've got the face. I bring my hands closer. I'm distorting its nose, distorting its mustache, making it bigger, making it a big mustache. And then I can touch it, and I'm drawing its face in, sucking it up with my fingers. This is where it starts to get really weird. Just a little bit disturbing. It's like its face is turning into this fluid and dancing in front of me. It's like it's not even a human person anymore. And I can just imagine this being part of like one of those sidetrack science museum exhibits where you're like, you just put on the HMD and then you start playing with the materials. And the leap is actually, as long as the leap is pretty close to your hands, it does a fairly good job of tracking. But if I turn my hand over, I start to get occlusion where I can't really see exactly what I'm doing with my fingers. If my palm is facing up, it does a better job of tracking each individual figure. I can lean back. I have full positional tracking in this demo. And keep in mind, like I said, this is all running on the web. I did not install anything. The Leap support, entirely web-based. The Oculus Rift support's not using anything except for Firefox VR with the VR support. It's all just working. The latency in this demo is about as bad as the others, maybe 40-50 milliseconds. Tolerable, but not as good as a desktop app. And I like also the sound design in this, how like you pull your hands away and all the sound stops. Well, it's supposed to stop if it noticed my hand was gone. Okay, well, the leap motion is doing some incorrect tracking in this case. But if it recognized that my hand is actually gone, all the sound would stop. And then when my hands go up and start doing things, the music gets more complicated and more intense. So that's another example of just using good sound design to reinforce the affordances, reinforce the kind of interactions they want to promote. And this is just a really cool demo. I'm sorry I'm spending so long on this. I just really enjoy playing with this one. I feel like if I were in a comic, this would be one of those supervillains who I'm like, I will defeat you, Xavius of ancient Greece. I punch him in the face, and then his face just like bounces back. I'm like, oh shit, I can't hurt him. He's immortal. Okay, quite enough of that. Let's get out of this demo. And click. Click. All right. So this one again is called... What is this one called? This one is called Rainbow Membrane. Presumably because of the membrane-like surface and the rainbow colors. And it's this one's created by Kabibo. Just a single person using Leap.js and 3.js. So this was, it's a very small little test project, but it produces this really fun and compelling experience. So it definitely shows what you can do with just kind of exploiting these existing libraries and having a little creativity. Anyway, I'm going to get out of Rainbow Membrane, go on to Seychelles. This is the one they featured on the front page. And it is a very nice introductory demo to Mozilla VR. Going to go ahead and hit this. There we go. And I believe they say this is based on... What region did they say this is based on? Somewhere in Canada? I'll tell you when I get out. But yeah, this is just kind of, it's a very cool low poly scene. It's lagging a bit right now. Actually, I'm going to restart my browser. It's lagging too much. This is still very much a work in progress. Okay. Starting it back up. There we go. Okay. All right. I think the lag is gone. So wait, where did they say this is? I'm curious now. Scroll down and find out. Is a virtual reality visualization of an inlet near the town of Seychelles. Am I saying that right? Seychelles? On British Columbia's southern coast, rendered in gradients and colors inspired by the work of renowned Canadian painter Roy Henry Vickers. Built by Josh Carpenter of Mozilla. I actually saw him, I believe, at a San Francisco VR event. He does very cool stuff. So yeah, this is an inlet near a Canadian village and inspired by the style of a particular Canadian painter. And we're just zooming around this lake. I'm not touching anything. It's just moving me. And we approach the island. And the island has this very distinctive shade compared to the rest of it. The sky has this beautiful gradient going on the whole time that very clearly contrasts it with the kind of grayish blue hills. You have those cool reflections going on. And everything's kind of abstract and stylized with this coast and those kind of cone-shaped trees. Very low poly, but very cool. I could imagine this also being a good Gear VR demo for kind of just a scene for someone to move through and enjoy a distinctive abstract style. Anyway, gonna back out of here. You always end up at this island, and after you get there, you don't leave. If you want to do it again, you have to refresh. And then start it again. You actually start out on the mainland, I think, over there. And then you head out into the inlet. And you're just cruising along. You ram right through this part. Right between the trees. You think you're going to hit them, but you don't hit them. Got this nice fog effect going on, those distant mounds. It's a very serene scene, very peaceful. It's totally silent, which is a little bit disconcerting. I think it could use some kind of like soft piano music. Maybe they can get like a Canadian composer in on it to complete the Canadian theming of this experience. Is that the sea over there? It looks like it. It's totally flat. All right, and we made it back to the island. Sometimes this one sticks a little bit. I think it's a little bit more laggy than the others. And the latency in this one seems to be particularly bad. I'm pegging it up at like 100 milliseconds. But if you move your head slowly, it's reasonably smooth. Again, this is not the kind of latency we really want to see for our VR experiences, and it's not nearly as good as desktop experiences. But I mean, I feel like that's something they're working on, something they're trying to get to the level it needs to be to have really strong professional commercial experiences. All right, that was Seychelles. Now I want to know how to say this. How do I say this? Pronunciation. Tell me. Okay, none of these are audio. Tell me. Okay, they're not going to tell me anything. That's fine. I'm just going to go on to the next demo. Two left. These are very, very simple ones, but they show, they both demonstrate the incorporation of live action or real world scenes into web VR content. First, the panorama viewer. The panorama viewer just shows, where is this from? Do they say? Okay, so they grabbed some Creative Commons licensed photos and they used them to build this 360 scene. And let's go ahead and jump inside. And you can see there's a guy standing over there. It's very grainy and kind of, it feels low res. It shimmers as my head moves, very small increments. I'm not sure why that is. And the latency is kind of bad. Again, it feels like about the 50 millisecond range. Whereas if you were doing this on Gear VR, which also has support for 360 photos, it would be it would feel perfectly smooth. There would be no perceptible latency. And the difference in that is just, it's a big difference that it makes. But still, this right now is running on the web, and you didn't have to download anything to do it. So that is a difference. I believe this scene is entirely monoscopic, so if I lean, I will not be able to look around that guy over there and see what's behind him, no matter how much I lean, because this is a monoscopic scene. And these people and this rock do not look stereoscopically closer to me than the distant mountains. So it's a monoscopic scene. The one thing that does have some depth is these letters, these credits. And you can see if I move, there's some parallax where the background moves behind the letters. But it is, it's pretty nicely stitched though. There are no clear seams in the scene, which is pretty typical of a monoscopic scene like this. It's pretty easy to avoid having stitching seams. Or having errors. Like in a typical stereoscopic 360 scene, I'll show you this in a minute. If you lean your head to the side like this, it'll break the stereoscopic effect because of the limitations of the method that they use. But in a monoscopic scene like this, it's actually fine. It's not going to do anything. So yeah, it's a nice view of this hilly mountain scene. En route pour le Pays de Sancy by Alexandre Duelutz. I guess they're in France or Switzerland somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, I'm hanging out with these people on a mountaintop. And now it's time for... What's behind me? I never looked. It's just more mountains. Some nice rocks. Is that a rock wall or is it just natural? Yeah, it's just rocks. Alright, let's get out of here. So that's a very simple demo of 360 photos in WebVR. And let's get out of here and go on to the last one. The Polar Sea, a documentary by Deep that takes users to the Arctic in 360 VR video. This one's using EllaVR's WebGL VR video player. EllaVR does a bunch of great stuff with media. And here we are, the Polar Sea. Obviously, this is added in post. I don't think they actually floated letters here. And I have to give some serious credit to EllaVR for this video player, because of all 6 demos that I've tried, this one, by far, has the lowest latency. It feels like it's more on the order of like 10 to 20 milliseconds. I can move my head like, it might even be less. I can move my head like this and it really keeps up. There's a little bit of jutter, but it is much lower latency than the other demos. So it gives me hope that WebVR experiences can be low latency if they just put some engineering effort into bringing that latency down. Here we are floating over an iceberg, apparently dangling from a quadcopter. Remember, this is all running right off the web. The video is streaming. I did not preload it. We just clicked on a web video and started streaming it in this 360 video player. We can look all around us as it's playing. This is a monoscopic video, so again, there are no issues with tilting my head. There's no issues with stitching seams, but I do not have stereoscopic depth, and I do not have parallax as I use positional tracking to move my body. And I'm on a boat. This is such a tiny boat. Is this boat supposed to be that tiny? Or am I just higher above it than I am used to being? Okay, we're floating out in a bunch of ice. There was a boat stuck in there. Whoa, how long has this boat been here? Is this supposed to... Oh, we're actually going to get on the boat. We're on the boat. We're on the giant boat among the icebergs. This must be the cabin. They're keeping an eye out for any trouble out there in the ice field. Now we're in the gym. the slow motion gym where everybody runs really slowly while looking out at the icy ocean. Here's their fancy dinner room. Hey, guy. Here is their kitchen, where apparently all of that speed that got used up in the gym is sent to the kitchen. Now we're dangling from another boat. How are they even doing this? How am I hanging here? Oh, look at it, just crushing that ice. Bam. Slamming into it. That must be what that thing is for. It's like some kind of icebreaker. And now we're on a beach, and it's snowing. You can see there's like a black dot right above me. I think that's due to stitching. And there's snow coming down, or is this rain or sleet? I can't really tell, but there are some people with a tent. There's their boat, right there on the coast. Sun's coming out. It's still cloudy though, but it is daytime. It's getting a little misty. I think the snow was maybe added in post. I don't know if that's what it really looks like. I don't know. I haven't been to the Arctic Sea. Oh, and their tent just got buried in snow. Hopefully they're okay. And it's sunset. It's nighttime, guys. Time lapse. And the stars look beautiful down in the Arctic because there's no light pollution. The only lights we see are the, it's not called, is it called the Aurora Borealis, or is it the other one down here? I don't remember what this one is called. But it is really pretty. Look at those lights. They just cover the whole sky. They go right across it. There's the moon, full moon. And there, polarc360.com. That's the end of the video. So like I said, the video player is the lowest latency experience I've seen. Okay, we're restarting now. Get out of here. It's the lowest latency experience I've seen so far. It's a great example of streaming 360 video and watching it in real time. And it's a pretty compelling use case, and LVR definitely knows how to make a WebGL VR video player. I'm going to get out of here and go on. So those are the 6 modsvr.com demos. There are a couple other small demos I want to show you. So 3.js is the library that they use to create a lot of these. And 3.js is used for a lot of regular 3D stuff on monitor. It's a very popular JavaScript library for web experiences, but it also has support for VR, for WebVR, as supported in this Firefox VR browser. Here we go, examples. Okay, I clicked on examples. I'm going to scroll on down, and here's VR. They only have a couple of them in here. All right, cubes. Oh, I think it's broken. Yeah, this is not working right now. Not working. Okay, that's okay. But if this was working, I would see a bunch of cubes around me. I've done this one, I believe, in Chrome, and it worked. You can do a lot of VR demos also in Chrome. There's a Chromium build with Oculus Rift support that you can grab. There's also Oculus Google Street View, which incorporates which takes the 360 street views and allows you to visit them and look around at various places in the world. And then you can put in any address and you can go there, and that works in Firefox VR and it works in Chromium. I have not yet quite gotten it working in Firefox VR and Mozilla VR. I've gotten it working in Chrome, but I'm going to save it for another video because I really want to go in depth with Street View and show that one on DK2 and all the places you can go. Anyway, so this has been Mozilla VR, VR in Firefox. Loaded right off a web page, no installation, all in real time. Latency is kind of bad, and not all the demos have all the features like positional tracking, but they're working on it and they're making great progress. And I believe that eventually we're going to see a lot of small VR demos and simple VR games being deployed on the web platform. That's all for today. Let me know any other things you want to see me play. Let me know any comments you have on this, and everybody have a great every day.